Invest 97L has just been designated, and this storm is one to watch if you're living on the east coast of the United States. This storm has all of the cards in its hands to potentially be a hurricane, if not maybe even a major hurricane that could end up in between Bermuda and the east coast of the United States. Let's take a full breakdown of this storm, starting out with where it is right now. We have plenty of time to figure out this forecast because this storm is just emerging off the coast of Africa, and it has just been designated as Invest 97L. So we're not talking about a tropical depression yet. We're not talking about a tropical storm yet. This is still just an investigated area. Taking a look at our infrared satellite loop, you can see this is a very disorganized storm right now, but those reds, blacks, whites, that indicates some very tall clouds, some thunderstorm development, and that will lead to a potential tropical system down the line. So we already have some development off the coast there in the tropical waters of the Atlantic. And even though this storm is disorganized, it's also not in the most favorable conditions for development right now. Right now, the sea surface temperatures in the eastern Atlantic, just off the west coast of Africa, where this storm is actually below average. So those blues on the sea surface temperature anomaly chart means below average. But this storm is going to get steered west to just north of the Lesser Antilles and towards the southeast coast of the United States, towards Bermuda, somewhere in that range, and that is an area with above normal sea surface temperatures indicated in those oranges and reds. So this storm, even though it's not looking very pretty right now, it does have the potential to blossom into a better looking system as it moves west. Now, the reason that I'm paying attention to this system a little bit more is because it has a little bit of extra kick from the Madden-Julian oscillation. Basically, this is an area of increased lift and rising motion in the atmosphere that moves slowly eastward around the globe. And right now it's in what we call phase 2, which means that rising air, that rising motion is over Africa. Now, you may be saying, well, that's not over the tropical Atlantic. What does that mean for this storm? Well, that means that this storm, since it's coming off of Central Africa, kind of has a little bit of extra juice from that rising motion already, so it kind of has a bit of a head start in terms of the thunderstorm development, the convective development. Now it just needs to get organized and spin up, and then you basically have your tropical depression, tropical storm right there. Now, it is of note that usually the most tropical cyclones that form in the Atlantic come during phase 4, not during phase 2. But usually phases 2, 3, 4, you kind of generally build up the amount of tropical cyclones in the Atlantic. Right now we're in phase 2. We are expected to be in phase 4 by August 12th. Now, this storm wouldn't be getting to the United States until between the 20th and the 24th. So there is time for the MJO to get into that favorable spot, and then this storm might get kicking. So we do have to watch that as well. I want to take you through a few of our deterministic models. So basically, taking the initial conditions, the current conditions across the globe right now, compiling them into a model, and then kind of going through time and seeing how this model thinks the weather will be across the next 10 days here. So this model, the European model, is showing a tropical storm developing in between the west coast of Africa and the Lesser Antilles in the next few days. We're not going to be talking about the next 2 days, more like 3-4 days. But then as this storm kind of moves into that area with warmer sea surface temperatures, it's going to really rapidly develop and become a hurricane. And it looks like it's going to kind of just glance off the coast of Bermuda. So that is one model. And obviously, it's taking it nowhere near the U.S. It's practically a fish storm. Bermuda, you got to watch out. It's looking to be real close on this model. But then let's take a look at our different global model here. So this is a different model that's taking those same initial conditions and using just a slightly different formula to predict the weather in the future. And that is taking this storm, it's really starting to develop it into a stronger tropical storm, low-end hurricane by the end of this upcoming work week. And then it's kind of steering it a little bit further west towards the coastlines of the Carolinas. It has it slowing down significantly and then kind of barreling into New England. So that's why right now, since we're so far away from when the storm will be impacting the East Coast and North America in general, there's a wide range of possibilities. I think that in general, this storm will end up in between Bermuda and the East Coast of the United States based on we have a very strong subtropical high, basically a steering high pressure that is going to be kind of living in the waters in between Newfoundland and Canada and Spain and Portugal. So basically that's just going to steer, since high pressures have clockwise flow, steering a storm towards the United States, the Gulf Coast, the Caribbean, and so on. But those are just two models. And obviously, we want to look at more than two models, especially this far out. So let's take a look at an ensemble model. This is an ensemble model of the European model, the first deterministic model that I showed you, where they take that same model, but they just tweak some of the initial conditions because our observations aren't always perfect. And we're going to play it out and see what each individual member, basically each individual run of this model with that tweaked data, shows based on that same formula. So a lot of these members, as we call them, have this storm kind of sitting around the west coast of Africa for the next day or two. And that's going to keep it fairly weak, but then it starts to get kicked and steered by that high pressure system, and it's going to get pushed towards North America. And as it does so, it's going to be gaining strength. So each one of these lines represents an individual member. Now you may see that they're also colored based on how fast the wind speed is. So we are looking for those greens, yellows, oranges. That means tropical storm hurricane criteria. So as these low pressure systems indicated with the little L's here move further west, it is showing a lot more of those oranges, maybe even a few reds, even a few pinks in there as well, which indicates a strong tropical cyclone. And then you see as they're kind of moving to the west, they kind of spread out a little bit. That is completely normal. But in general, we're seeing these low pressure systems get steered towards Bermuda and the east coast of the United States. And I think that this model in particular is underplaying the strength of that steering high pressure this time of the year. The steering high pressure is usually a little bit stronger than in September. That also usually leads to a little bit more wind shear. But it also means that any storms could get pushed further west in general. So again, this is a very similar time of the year as Hurricane Irma back in 2017, and that kind of had the same sort of push to the west with that steering high. So again, no reason to sound the alarm and start panicking just yet. I'm just saying this is a storm we really need to watch. And as the storm progresses, I'll be providing more updates. I'm going to be looking into the system very closely. Stay tuned here for more updates. Subscribe, click that bell so you never miss another video talking about this storm, talking about the tropics in general. And make sure to like this video if you found this video informative overall, just talking weather in general. Leave a comment in the comment section down below if you have any comments, questions, concerns. I am more than happy to address any questions you guys have. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'll see you again soon. See ya.